Welcome back to another episode of the Sports Card Dad. It is 20 minutes with, it's probably going to go 25, 30 minutes, but we've got John Mangini is back on the show. We've got a couple of topics that we're going to talk about, and then he actually has cards that I've never heard of before. He mentioned them kind of pre-show, and so we're going to dive into those as well. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing good. You know, it's never a dull moment, you know, with kids and work and channel and everything going on. It's wild. It's crazy.
That's why we hobby, to get away from all that stuff.
I know. I've been enjoying your content. I was watching. I didn't get to finish it. I fell asleep last. I'm like a 90-year-old man. I go to sleep at like 8 p.m. these days. But I was watching your Get Off My Lawn episode I think it was last night. Or it was yesterday or the day before. I was watching like half of it, and but I didn't get to finish it. Those are fun.
Yeah, Rick and I have a good time. We deep dive into vintage sets and issues, and really it's meant to be educational for people that may not be familiar with those different issues.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Now, last time you were on, this was pre the $12.9 million card sale, which was a modern card. It was, cool card. No, great card, Jordan, Kobe, dual auto, the patch, the logo man, all the stuff. You can add all that up. And you're a modern card collector too, so I know that you appreciate modern cards. You're not necessarily an autograph guy, right? You're not necessarily like a memorabilia card guy.
I'm not, and I used to like the older patches. Those cards are cool. The newer patches, they guarantee to be nothing. It's like some rookie puts it on, takes it right back off at a press conference or something. But the old patches, going back to the early 2000s when they started them, they would tell you a little bit about where they were from. And I thought that was great. I wish they would get back to that.
Yeah, there's a picture on the internet that was floating around it's been there a long time. You've probably seen it, but Mark Ingram, the old running back for the Saints, he's wearing like 20 jerseys at one time. And so anytime I see player worn, I just think about that, because these guys just throw on like 10 jerseys, and then technically that's player worn, even though it was like 10 jerseys like in a warehouse somewhere.
Exactly. So I don't, the modern patches do not excite. I don't think they excite many people anymore. I was drinking with Emmitt Smith, and he was telling me that he chipped all his jerseys in 2003 when he was it 3? When he was breaking the record. He said he took it upon himself to chip all his jerseys so that they would be authenticated. He's real into the authentication of his gear, and I thought that was so great that an athlete would care like that. And he was all mad at Fanatics because he says he calls them and they won't return his calls, and they don't want to listen to him about how to authenticate things. I thought that was funny too.
Yeah, Emmitt Smith is one of those guys that he's really involved in the sports mem space. He's at the Chantilly show that's right up the road. It's about a 4-hour drive. I swear, I feel like he's there every single time, like every 3-4 months. And I've had a media pass going backstage back there where sometimes you can run into those guys. And he's just hanging out, like just chatting. And
he's real down to earth, man. He was fun to hang out with.
Yeah, the fact that you can hang out with the all-time leading rusher, and I understand that records are made to be broken, but
he told me it will be broken.
He said it will be or won't be.
It will be, because I said your record's never going to be broken. Nobody, they don't run the ball like that anymore. And he's like, it'll be broken. And he's like, he was like, well, he was saying like they're not running the ball now. He's like, but they used to, and they'll go back to that. Things change, and the development of the game, strategy, and so forth. So I was shocked that he said that.
Yeah, they would have to go back to more of a power running game, but then also, what'll happen is there'll be 20 games in a season, or something
that could do it,
and then that'll do it. It's like a guy will play 8 seasons and break it or something stupid.
Yeah, it's like O.J. Simpson was the only guy to rush for 2,000 yards in a 14-game season, right? They went to 16 games, and all kind of guys did it.
Yep. Yeah. So I wouldn't mind that, honestly. I don't mind kind of that power running game. Of course, it's fun to watch kind of the aerial attack, when they can throw the ball, and that's fun to watch. But it's also just as fun for me to watch like a great running play executed, because all these guys have to be moving in the same, like it's all got to be executed perfectly, and then the defense has got to be caught off guard. It's a wonderful thing to watch when it works out.
So. Man, I'm a Steeler fan, and back in the day, watching the bus that was more fun than watching our passing game. I'll tell you that much. And watching a guy like Jonathan Taylor, how fantastic is he? and Barkley. Once Barkley got a little bit of a team around him, look what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
And Derrick Henry. It's fun to watch those guys, run when they're getting going.
Absolutely. So going back to this card sale, it was $12.9 million. Of course, it doesn't affect you or I directly, but did you have any sort of a reaction now? Or I guess, this is about a month ago or so. Have you processing it now? So we have the immediate reaction, and then a month or so later, has anything changed for you on, as far as that card goes? Does it mean anything to you hobby wise? Before John answers, huge thanks to our channel partners, PSA, two-time submitters. If you have a friend that hasn't submitted, SCD25 code at the shipping and billing screen. Take $25 off that first submission over there at PSA. JustCollect.com. You got a collection to sell. You have no idea where to go with it, whether it's vintage or modern. JustCollect.com's got a very easy appraisal site. Easy peasy. Leighton Sheldon and the team will take care of you. You need supplies. Card Capsule is the place to go, whether it's top loaders, semi-rigids, cases. Card Capsule will take care of you. $25 off your first $100 spend over at Card Capsule with the SCD25 promo code. Make sure to take advantage of all the hobby discounts down in my video description as well as in the pinned comments. Back to the show.
Not really. I didn't have any kind of reaction to it. A lot of these big, super wealthy investor types, they buy these things. They want to make headlines. They want to stock up. They're buying it as an investment. They want it to do better later. I think the visibility is good for the hobby on one hand, but it just puts more emphasis on money on the hobby. Because one of the things I don't like is if somebody comes up to my card room, or I'm talking to them at a bar and I tell them I collect sports cards. The question is, what's your most expensive card? What's your most expensive card? That gets a little bit annoying. We've been talking that's kind of unique to this hobby. When you tell them you have a different hobby, they don't ask you the price or whatever.
Right,
it's like, I race cars on the weekends. Oh yeah, what's your car worth?
Yeah.
This is the only hobby that's like that.
One thing that I think is going to be interesting to watch is, okay, so let's go down this rabbit hole of buying groups like what we just saw here. And let's say a lot of the PSA 10s, the 9s of vintage cards. Let's talk specifically about vintage cards. So let's say that they're low pop and they move kind of off the market. Another thing that buying groups could do as well, if they're like, you know what, we're just not seeing enough quality in the $5 or $10 million card to add that in. I've always thought, what if they buy up multiples of a pop? So I don't know, let's say Jim Brown rookie. I'm pretty sure he doesn't have any 10s for a Jim Brown. I think he's got 5 9s or something. I should probably have looked that up before I started talking about it. But let's say he's got, I don't know, I'm going to throw numbers out. Let's say he's got 50 8s. There's 50 PSA 8s or something like that. If you add up, what does that cost? You could probably take $1 million and do damage on a card like that. If you were a buying group and you're like, you know what, let's just buy the Jim Brown rookies. Let's take all of these that we can find. Let's just take them off and sock them away. We control half the supply of Jim Brown rookies. If you think about the cost, it's not that it would be inexpensive, but if millions of dollars come in, then you could do it on particular cards, and not every card, but you could come in and do damage. I'm not saying damage in a negative way. I guess meaning you could really acquire a lot of a pop of something, a supply.
Yeah, it would make sense for cards that are lower pop, lower total pop. Yeah, maybe buying up every 10 you could find, if you can find them now, of the Ricky Henderson rookie, for example. But I think people are looking to that pop report, and they don't know somebody owns them all. And they can say, oh, well, there's 50 of those. I don't know if I'm going to bid that. You know what I mean? If there's lower pop, then I think you could definitely, own a majority of those and drive the prices up. Excuse me.
Yeah, well, and I was just thinking it depends on what they're going to do with them too. If you're a group that's going to say, hey, we're buying how many 10s of the Ricky are there, 25 or something?
I don't know, but I know they stopped giving them out.
Yeah, they're not getting. Yeah, they're not coming out. So, but if a buying group owned half of the pop, and their business plan was hey, we're holding this for decades, then yes, there's 25, but how many are actually hitting the market? That means when one hits the market, it's going to be it's probably going to price way up because they just don't come.
Yeah, and what they do in the modern hobby is, let's say that they have that, they'll hold on to one, they'll auction one, they'll probably have their friends bid it way up, and then they'll hold it for another year, and you're looking at that last comp, and then the next year when it sells and it's the only one out there, it's going to go for an absolute fortune, right? That's what's been going on for the last several years.
Okay, so you think that there's just, there's a little bit of gamesmanship there with some of these high flying buyers.
Vegas Dave did a video saying that that's what's being done, and he's pretty much the one that started all this with that Mike Trout.
Yeah, the Trout.
I suspected that was what was going on, but he actually came out and said it.
So
a number of years ago,
he said that basically, like, there was groups that were bidding up cards. Oh, okay, I missed.
He said
I never saw that.
They sell it to their friend. It hits the news, and then next one sells for higher, and everybody gets their money, and they're all happy.
Well, yeah, maybe that's happening more regularly now.
I mean, it ain't me and you paying $150,000 for a 1996, Jordan,
right,
in a Beckett 7.5. It ain't me and you doing that.
Yeah,
I don't know any collectors that are doing that.
Yeah, that might be a documentary one day or something. Like, we're gonna find out a lot probably, down the road on Netflix. It'll probably be some sort of Netflix show at some point.
Yeah, I had made a video saying that's what I thought was being done. So when he came out with that video, I recorded it and included it on a follow-up video saying, basically, see, I told you.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Well, I guess we'll have to see what sort of long-term ramifications or consequences come from all of that.
Yeah, that's Dustin, that's a different world than the one I live in. I just collect, man. I'm not trying to chase down all that and manipulate the market and all that good stuff. More power to anybody that's doing that. But as you know, I'm a stock guy. I flip stocks, not cards.
And actually,
I do cards for fun.
That was the next topic on the list. So easy answer from you. What's more fun, flipping cards or flipping stocks? And I remember I think I said at the National, we talked a lot more about stocks than we did cards.
Yeah,
so I know
we sure did.
Stocks.
That's my fault. Once you get me started, it's hard to stop me.
Yeah. Well, no, but is that do you spend most of your time, I mean, other than collecting baseball cards and, football cards, but do you spend a lot of time studying companies and doing that as just kind of part of your overall, because you're semi-retired, right?
Yeah. I mean, I trade for a living.
Yeah. Okay. So that's kind of your bread and butter. And then you buy cards with some of the winnings or, however that goes. That's not a bad plan.
I watch them all day. I watch them all day. I don't study them as much as you'd think. I have, I come up with a hypothesis, a company I like, something that's going on. I'm big into charts and momentum, and I try to buy. I have a good strategy. I have multiple different strategies. Part of me is I love high dividend payers. I like buying them when they're beaten up. I like to speculate on some companies. Like I speculate on Lucent. I'm sorry, Lumen. God, not Lucent. What a nightmare stock that was back in the day. Lumen is a big up and coming one. They're reinventing themselves with this AI fiber stuff that I'm really big on right now. I shared that with you, so I'll speculate a little bit there. But mostly, I love to buy great companies in an uptrend on bad days or bad weeks or bad months, when they pull back. Or sometimes they'll even pull back during a good market, just because stocks don't go up in a straight line.
Yeah.
They go up, they go up like this. And I loved basically trend following.
Okay. So you pay attention. So do you, if I understand correctly, you're identifying the companies beforehand, and then when you see some sort of, even if it's a smaller, small dip, you kind of ride that little wave, those small dips, buy in, and get out some, and just kind of do that.
And I never buy or sell all at once. The only time I would ever sell all at once is if I've changed my mind on the company. If I haven't changed my,
I think I lost you for a second there, John.
Oh. So I was getting a call, so I apologize. I never sell all at once unless I lose faith in the company or something has changed where I no longer like it. It's gotten ahead of itself or something like that. I tend to I trade around positions. So I buy in increments and I sell in increments, and that's worked out real well for me. For instance, I started to buy Robinhood. I think it was in the 20s at the time, and it went the whole way down to like $13, maybe even a little lower than that. And I kept buying and kept buying and kept buying. So when it started to go up, I would sell in little increments, and then at bad times I would buy it back, and I would add to my position again. And in April, with the tariff, thing, everybody was freaking out. I looked at my wife. I'm like, this is absurd at this point, how cheap everything's gotten. And that damn thing fell back into the 30s, and I loaded up on it again, and I sold it on the way up in increments. I finally got out of it when it crossed 100, and it was too early. I got out of it too early, but I had made my money on it, man. And I think it's overpriced at the moment, so I wouldn't buy it at this price. But you just never know how far they're going to go. But you know what? I've seen them reverse too often, and so I was getting out of it, thinking maybe it would come back into the 80 range or something, and I might get back in. And that didn't happen, but that's basically my strategy.
Yeah, we that exact same thing. Like March, April rolled around, there was that tariff announcement, and everything just took a dump. And I told my wife we need to move money into our trading account, and we just need to, like let's just buy a few, buy a few things we feel good about. It worked out great, but that's just kind of, it's such a no brainer because we just don't see dips very much. Recently you don't see like hefty dips, and and a lot of times it can be like 1,000 points down, and then the next day it's back up 800 points. So if you're not in like a day or two, you might miss out on that dip.
I made my entire year from April up until through August. My entire year on that. It just got ridiculous. Now, a word of caution: there will come a time where that dip doesn't come back, but we don't know when that will be.
Right.
And there's always bear market bounces. And again, if you're doing trend following and you can recognize trends, you can recognize reversals, you'll kind of know when that is. And then I have two go-tos when things get really crazy. I like to short the indexes. I did that in April, and I shorted Bitcoin in April, and I had specific targets. I was my first target was 80 for Bitcoin, second target was 70. So I sold half at 80 when it hit down around 70. I don't try to be perfect, so it was probably 71, 72. I covered all of my short. And with the Dow, I had, I thought it was going to 30, probably 37 to 38. So I covered half of it at 39, and then it went down, and I covered the rest at like 38 when it hit 38,000. And then it just went so far down. I said, this is ridiculous. I'm covering these shorts, and I'm going long. And I played that one well. Sometimes you win, sometimes you don't. The important thing in stock trading, because you're never going to win all the time, is to win more than you lose, or make more on your wins than you lose on your losses. Right. That's the most important thing. It's probably the same with cards.
Yeah, no, absolutely. At least with the stock market, you've got there's just more data at your disposal, and there's just so much more history, and there's a lot less moving parts. It's a lot easier to get in and out. With trading cards, man. It's like, you better rush to get it on eBay. You better rush to get to a show and sell it, or whatever. It's like,
yeah. And the thing about stocks is they can go up way faster than a card.
Yeah.
You can wake up one day, like I just sold my Pure Storage. I think I told you about that one. I know I told Filmington. That too in April went down to like 30 something. And I woke up one day, they reported earnings, and it's up in the 80s. So
wow,
you can, during earnings season, you can be way up or way down real quick.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's move on. For all the people that are looking for card content, we've got premiums to talk about today. And John brought this up to me on text, and I was like, I have no idea what this is. And so I'm glad that he brought this up, because they're awesome, but I don't know anything about them. So we're going to learn something today.
I am really excited to talk about these with you. I've never done a video where I just talk about premiums, and the fact that you don't know, you're not familiar with them. I love to teach. I did an assessment years ago on what I should do for a living, and it said I should be a teacher or a consultant. And when you get to be a certain age, you just want to share your knowledge. And it's tough, sometimes people don't want to hear it, but I do enjoy sharing it. I wanted to start with probably the most popular premium. But before I do that, let me back up and say what a premium is exactly. And so, and you don't see this a whole lot anymore, but it used to be super, super popular that companies would give you a gift if you would buy their packages and send in so many labels, right? Like my grandmother, her hobby was refunding. They called it refunding. We would all have to collect all our empty packages and give them to her, and she would go through, and every company had some sort of refund, or
Is
you
that
could
like
send in for a premium.
is that like proof of purchase?
Yes,
Gathering a
yes.
proof of purchase? Okay.
Yeah, some of them you just send in so many proofs of purchase. Some of them you send in proofs of purchase with a small dollar amount, like $5 or something. So here's an example. I had this as a little kid. This is a Willie Stargell photo, and it says, "Good luck in the Wise World Series of snacks," and it's signed here. And she sent in Wise potato chips, which are delicious in the Pittsburgh area. I know. Can't find them here in South Carolina. But so she would send in packages, and they would send things like this. She had sent in Wheaties did a promotion. You get a Tiger Woods golf balls. She sent me some of those. So that's the basis of what premiums are. They're you just send in for them. So probably the most popular premium, and people don't think of it as a premium, is the 1954 Red Heart set. And this was a dog food issue. And you would send in 2 wrappers from the dog food and like a dime, and they would send you the cards.
Very
So
cool.
this is actually a premium because it wasn't issued in packs.
Hmm.
It wasn't handed out at a store. It was a mail-in,
Yeah, it's like a
and
redemption. You have to
they
redeem.
honored these till like 1970. Believe it or not,
Wow.
you could still. I don't know. I don't know if anybody actually sent them in that late, but that's why. I don't know if you've ever noticed, but you could find these in high grade all day, every day,
Hmm.
because they were mail-in premiums. They were not pulled from packs, and you could get them years later. Now, people are familiar with the 52 Wheaties cards, and these came in rows on the back of the box, and you would cut them out. They also had a premium, and the premiums are way more rare, and they look like this.
Hmm.
So
Very
you
nice.
could send in for the Wheaties premiums. Now, most premiums are oversized, and they come in different sizes. Royal Desserts, pretty scarce set. They made like cake mixes, pie mixes. So they made these in 1950. This is Stan Musial. Well, they also had premiums they did in 1952, and they were little photos like this. That's Phil Rizzuto.
Oh yeah.
Butterfinger. Better not lay a finger on my Butterfinger. In 1934, had amazing.
My wife's favorite candy bar, Butterfingers.
Yeah, I love them too. They they made these amazing premiums. This is Babe Ruth. These are paper thin,
Oh yeah, that's a
and
great shot.
you could send in for those. Philly cigars. Philly cigars. In 1961, you could send in Philly cigar wrappers and get this beautiful Mickey Mantle.
Wow.
Gowdy, you know, the Gowdy company had some premiums. This is a 1934 Babe Ruth, and these were stand-ups. So
Oh yeah.
they have that. I love this because it has it intact. Oftentimes you'll find them without that, and you would just stand it up in your room. Kids would, and you often find them with pinholes. Most people pin them up. And this is a team photo of the American League All Stars that has Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, Jimmy Fox, Connie Mack, like all those All Stars from that time.
Wow.
Warch cigar. Here's a 1933 Jimmy Fox. They're beautiful.
Yeah.
And
Great.
here's the envelope they came in. So you would send in Warch cigar labels or proofs of purchase, and they would send it back to you in this envelope.
Very cool.
You know, the Gowdy company had all kind of premiums. This is a 1939 Gowdy premium of Joe DiMaggio.
Great photo.
And these had little how-tos on the back. But they're beautiful. Now,
Man, companies put effort into those.
they did. So they did. This was a big deal back in the day to sell your products. You know, these are the Diamond Stars made over a few years. The Diamond Stars cards. They were made by National Chickle. Here's a wrapper from this set. And it says on here, you can send 15 wrappers in and you get a premium, which they call an art photo. That's Hank Greenberg. So
yeah.
this is a National Chickle Premium. They had other similar ones. This is Gold Meadow Flower. That's Daffy Dean, Disney's brother. This is Hank Greenberg Gaudy Wide Pen Premium. They had wide pen and fine pen, and you could tell them apart because of the size of the signature. The wide pens have a thicker writing.
Was
And
Greenberg? What was the story with Greenberg? Was one of the more famous Jewish players?
Yes.
Okay, because I knew a guy. I know like a super collector for Greenberg.
Yeah.
But yeah, what was he? One of the what was his story? Kind of a little bit of background.
Oh, he's one of the greatest first basemen that ever lived. Of course, he faced a lot of racism. He's not the first Jewish player, but he's the first superstar Jewish player.
Okay. That's
Him and Mo Berg was another one back at that time who was a spy. He was a spy for the U.S. government.
All these guys had cool second jobs.
Yeah. This is cool. This came in a brown leather like binder, and this was grape nut cereal, and you could send in, and you don't usually find the binder. You usually only find the photo, but that's Dizzy Dean.
Dizzy Dean.
And you would display it like this. This is really cool, and there's only like 3 of these in existence. This is a 1930 blue ribbon malt, and it has a great story. And they made these in 31 too. I believe it was 31. This is Rogers Hornsby, and it's a photo on a backing. If anybody's familiar with the Beehive hockey photos, they're the same. They're like attached to a backing. They flip up. So this, and I love this because the photo is absolutely immaculate, but the backing has pinholes. Somebody hung it up, but it kept the photo itself in unbelievable shape. But because of those pinholes on the backing, it gets a poor 1, which I always question, is the backing even part of the card? So they grade the backing apparently. But anyway, this has a cool story. Like I said, there's a pop of around 3 of these. And Blue Ribbon Malt. Okay. The most popular beer back then was Pabst. Now, in the 1800s, Pabst used to put a blue ribbon around their bottles of beer. And they weren't called Blue Ribbon, but that became their nickname. People started calling them the Blue Ribbon because they had a blue ribbon around their bottles, but they didn't own that name. So Blue Ribbon Malt Company capitalized on that popularity, named themselves Blue Ribbon Malt. Here's an advertisement for it from the newspaper back then. They have a baseball player there. So malt was what you used.
Did they buy them, and that's why it's PBR?
I'm getting to that.
Oh, my bad. Okay.
So during Prohibition, it was illegal to sell beer, but you could sell the ingredients to make beer. So they would sell malt, and you can make beer at home. And this is an actual unopened can of it. Now, shortly, a little bit later on after this, Pabst did buy them out. And that's when they officially became Pabst Blue Ribbon. And that's the story of that.
That's
and I love
it's always it's like a great inexpensive beer. Still is.
Yeah, you could get it for like $1 a bottle, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
That's made out in the Lehigh Valley. I used to pass it all the time in Pennsylvania.
Anytime I'm at like a sporting event where it's like $10 for a beer, I'm always looking for like, hey, do you have PBR? Because PBR will be like $3 and Bud Light will be $10. And it's like, okay, I'll have PBR.
Yeah, they rebranded as PBR. When I was growing up, it wasn't PBR. Just like Kentucky Fried Chicken rebranded to KFC. It was always Kentucky Fried Chicken. But I love, this old stuff for the history of it. It's just some fascinating stuff. And when I delve into this history, I learn all kind of stuff like this, where Pabst Blue Ribbon came from. So those are some basics for premiums. I try to get through it quickly. I know we're on a time constraint.
It was good. No, I appreciate that, because that's something, even in the 80s, I remember growing up as a kid, there was always kind of like a send away, for these prizes or send away for something. But it feels like, and granted, I'm not digging through cereal boxes these days, so maybe it still exists, but I don't know if there's still the same sort of action that there used to be like that. When you were a kid, there was always something to mail away for or something.
Yeah.
I don't know if that really exists anymore.
No, there isn't. And the funny thing is you would send away like sight unseen. You didn't even know what some of those products look like.
Yeah.
And I have a bunch of the old Sports Illustrated posters, and they used to have ads for those. You'd check the ones you want and close a check with your address, and you'd wait a month until they got around to sending it to you, whatever. And you used to buy cards that way too. You would buy a card, it'd be listed in a catalog. It would say it was VG, and give you a price, and you check it and mail away for the card. And you really didn't know what it looked like. It would just be a listing.
Times have changed, man.
Yeah, they have.
Now it's Tops Now, or whatever it is.
I have a ton of those, man.
Those
things I used to buy almost all of them, but then I just got to the point where they started celebrating some really minor stuff,
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So and so got his first hit or whatever. So now I just buy the bigger events, the more historic.
It's kind of genius from if you're the manufacturer. I mean, if you can print to demand, so you're just printing whatever you need, and then you throw in a few chase cards, like, oh, it's Ohtani's whatever 50-50 whatever thing. But we'll also, like, one lucky winner, one lucky order will get, the 1-of-1 signed copy. It's genius. I mean,
dude, those short prints have drawn me in because I didn't know about them. And I ordered some Tops Now, and it was like 2 times in a row I got them, numbered to 5. And I'm like, what's this? Because I could see there were 2 cards, and I only ordered 1. And I opened it up, and it was numbered. So I got the regular one and the numbered one. And then when they came out with, what were those called? They had the 2020, and then they had this, 70? Those art cards?
The Project 2020 stuff. Yeah, and Project 70.
And then they came out with the Rockford or the Negro League ones?
Yeah, they came.
Was it Rockford?
They came out with a few different versions.
I'm drawing a blank. Yeah. So I ordered the Josh Gibson, and I got a numbered one. They draw you in. So I'm not going to lie. When I was ordering up the more recent Ohtani's, one of the reasons I was ordering them, I wanted one of those little number ones.
Hey,
I did not get one, but
it's fun. I get it. It's all part of the game. All right, man.
It's all gambling now, right? That's what you got to participate in.
You got to get in. You got to get in somewhere. No, I totally get it. Well, we're at 32 minutes. John, thank you so much for coming on again. We'll be back again in another 30 to 40 days or so, and we'll kind of have the same sort of setup where we talk about a couple hobby topics, and then John will kind of throw out some different vintage things, a vintage lesson for us, if you will. Make sure to check out the Mangini Collection as the YouTube channel and the Facebook group or the Facebook page. I believe I have that right.
Yeah, I have a Facebook page.
That's a page, yes.
I have my cards all in albums. Most of them. I not every one. But you could go through there and check out any set you want, really.
Very cool. All right, man. Thanks again for coming on, and we'll see you next month.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Thanks, buddy.